my 2 previous videos on geothermal energy, I talked about what geothermal energy is, how it's generated, and how it's harvested. In this video, I'll do a deep dive into the pros and cons of geothermal energy to understand why it's suddenly gaining traction and why a geothermal project in Basel, Switzerland was shut down in 2009. The pros of geothermal. The Earth's interior contains vast amounts of heat, making geothermal a potentially limitless source of energy. Earth's core constantly generates heat and will continue to do so for millions of years. This means that if geothermal reservoirs are properly managed, that is, the rate at which the heat is extracted is balanced with the rate at which it is replenished, geothermal power plants can last for decades or centuries. This is in contrast to fossil fuels, which will eventually get used up. Geothermal resources close to the Earth's surface, however, aren't available equally to every country. Think geysers and volcanoes in places like Iceland and Indonesia. However, some form of geothermal power can be harvested regardless of where in the world you are. According to NBC News, geothermal energy is present even below the coldest parts of the Earth's surface, if you dig deep enough. In most places, Earth's heat is trapped at depths of more than 20 miles, but in so-called geological hotspots, geothermal energy is near the surface and is apparent in geysers, hot springs, and volcanic eruptions. Besides being renewable, limitless, and readily available, geothermal energy also has many other advantages. It is reliable and can generate electricity consistently, unlike other renewable energy sources like wind and solar that depend heavily on the state of battery technology and weather conditions for optimal performance. Geothermal works regardless of wind conditions or cloud cover and is able to ensure a steady and reliable supply of baseload power. That is, the minimum amount of electrical power that needs to be supplied to the electrical grid at any given time. This dependability and stability makes geothermal a valuable resource for power generation that is able to meet the needs of communities and industries alike. Geothermal power plants are also significantly more compact or energy dense than other forms of renewable energy. They're also more powerful and energy dense than coal plants. This is best illustrated with numbers. To produce 1 gigawatt hour of energy, a geothermal plant uses 1,046 square kilometers. To produce the same amount of energy with wind, we need 3,458 square kilometers. For solar, we need 8,384. And for coal, we need 9,433 square kilometers. This is highly advantageous since large amounts of space often aren't available for the construction of power plants. Geothermal energy is also clean, climate-friendly, and sustainable. Unlike fossil fuels, it doesn't release greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Most geothermal systems only emit steam. Some that vaporize water directly from the earth and then let it evaporate into the atmosphere emit small amounts of sulfur dioxide, nitrous oxides, and particulates. However, geothermal plants still emit 97% less acid rain causing sulfur compounds and 99% less carbon dioxide than fossil fuel plants of similar size. Most also recycle the water that they extract from the ground by injecting it back in. This helps to not only renew the resource but also to reduce emissions from the plant. Geothermal energy can therefore help reduce our global carbon footprint and mitigate the impacts of climate change. In addition to its reliability and low emissions, geothermal energy is also cost-effective. While the upfront costs of setting up a power plant can be high, long-time operating costs are low. This is mainly because geothermal plants don't require fossil fuels to run. The fuel costs for fossil fuel plants, on the other hand, can be double the cost of building the plants themselves. Geothermal energy is also versatile. It can be used for multiple purposes, including the generation of electricity, heating, and cooling. They can also be used at different scales. That is, we can have small setups that heat individual homes, or large ones that power industries and entire towns. The reliability, cost-effectiveness, and versatility of geothermal make it valuable for a variety of applications and also make it a great option for countries and communities looking to diversify their energy mix and transition to a more sustainable energy future. Lastly, and very importantly, geothermal plants can be built leveraging widely available expertise and equipment from the oil and gas industry. This, however, is a topic that deserves exclusive coverage on its own, and I'll discuss it at length in a subsequent video. So what about the cons of geothermal? As with any energy source, geothermal energy also has its limitations. For starters, the most accessible geothermal energy resources are not evenly distributed across the world and are typically located in remote or hard-to-reach areas, making it challenging to retrieve and extract the energy. The variations in the availability and quality of resources in different geographies also make it challenging to predict the long-term potential of any given resource. In addition to this, while geothermal energy is renewable, wells that extract heat will eventually cool off if heat is extracted from them at a faster rate than it can be replenished. The first electrical plant to run on geothermal energy was set up in Larderello, Italy in the 1910s. It has seen its steam pressure fall by over 25% since the 1950s. To mitigate this, some plants resort to a reinjection of water into the site to make it last longer. This, however, can result in seismic activity, that is, small earthquakes. In some instances, however, the seismic activity can be significant, as was the case in Basel, Switzerland, which led to the geothermal project being shut down in 2009. However, seismicity isn't exclusive to enhanced geothermal systems. It's also a concern associated with oil and gas plants, and studies have shown that seismicity rates at geothermal fields are correlated with changes to monthly injection rates. Geothermal plants can also lead to subsidence, a literal sinking of the ground beneath and around them. This, however, only happens if water is extracted from geothermal reservoirs and isn't replenished, causing underground fractures to collapse upon themselves. Subsidence is highly undesirable since it often damages pipelines and infrastructure. This means that for a plant to be truly successful in the long run, its proper management is absolutely essential. Geothermal power plants require large amounts of water for cooling and for generating steam to drive turbines. This can lead to water scarcity in areas where water is already limited if the plant isn't set up to recycle water. However, almost all modern plants run binary closed-loop systems with production and injection wells, the latter of which return used water to the ground, resulting in minimal changes to groundwater levels, so scarcity is less of a concern. Water from geothermal plants, however, should be recycled whether or not water scarcity is a threat. This is because not recycling water from geothermal power plants and insulating it from its surroundings also poses other challenges. Water from the earth can absorb harmful substances such as arsenic, boron, and fluoride. These are toxins that can be carried to the surface and released as the water evaporates. There, they can contaminate sources of clean drinking water and even aquatic habitats. Accessing geothermal resources also requires drilling into the Earth's surface. Because of this, geothermal power plants require a large initial investment for drilling and construction, which can be a significant challenge for many countries and companies. Many facilities in the Philippines, for instance, were only made possible as a result of American investment. In addition, while geothermal energy itself is clean, the construction of geothermal power plants can have an environmental impact, including deforestation, the release of greenhouse gases, the alteration of natural landscapes and habitats, and the potential contamination of groundwater, since large amounts of land are required for drilling wells, building infrastructure, and setting up the power plant itself. This, however, is changing as companies are now developing power plants and setups that are significantly more compact and take up very little space on the ground by instead extending deeper into the earth. Lastly, regulatory roadblocks also exist in the way of geothermal power, which needs as many permits as oil and gas plants, at least in the US, despite being significantly safer than fossil fuels. Despite these limitations, however, geothermal energy holds significant potential as a source of clean and reliable energy, and further investment and development in this field could help to overcome these challenges and unlock its full potential. That's a wrap on the pros and cons of geothermal systems. If you enjoyed this, please do subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell to be notified for whenever we post the next video. Until then, take care and goodbye.